Me again! So yesterday I told you that I was going to post a video yesterday and today to make up for the fact that I did not post any videos for a whole week. It's a good thing I decided not to do video every day April, because I would have failed that one. So as promised, here's today's video. I got inspired by a few videos that I saw on YouTube of people finding things that they wrote when they were really young and reading them. And so I looked through everything that I have saved from when I was a kid. The best thing that I found was a short story that I wrote my freshman year of high school called Hypnotized, 2000, 12 years ago. And I thought I'd read you some of it, maybe all of it. This might be a little long.
Lindy Madison trudged down the sidewalk, lugging her heavy backpack behind her. The wind whipped around her, and she tried desperately to stay out of the huge puddles that lay like roadblocks every few feet. She dragged her feet, walking slowly, her head down, a frown on her face. Rainy days always put her in a bad mood. I should be in a good mood, she thought. I'm on the way to my best friend's birthday party. Taylor Bergen will be there.
Seriously, what were these names that I was coming up with?
The thought of Taylor Bergen perked her up a bit. He was the most popular boy in their grade. He had white blonde hair that laid flat on his head and dark blue-gray eyes.
Okay, I was really into Justin Timberlake when I was in high school.
He had a dimple in his left cheek when he smiled, and when he walked, he got this faraway look in his eyes that made him look like he was contemplating the mysteries of the universe. He was also extremely athletic, but he wasn't just a dumb, adorable jock. As well as being the star runner on the track team, the only freshman on the varsity basketball team, and holding the record for the farthest shot put distance in the history of the school, he had a 3.8 GPA and was ranked third in the freshman class.
Only third?
He was funny and nice and sweet and had a great personality.
This guy is like non-existent perfect.
He was also quite wealthy. Everyone loved him. The jocks and cheerleaders, the preps, the bookworms and computer nerds, everyone. Yet he was completely untouchable.
And that's the real reason why he was so sexy.
He had so many friends that there was always a crowd around him. Usually the jocks and cheerleaders were the ones he tended to hang out with. But he was nice to everyone.
I really didn't know how to use commas very well when I was a freshman in high school.
Yet the crowd made it impossible to get a moment alone with him. And if you weren't friends with the people he hung out with, whether he liked you or not, there was no chance of getting anywhere near him. He was like a rock star. The jocks were his bodyguards, the cheerleaders his groupies. He didn't really like them, but they were the only ones that treated him normally. Everyone else treated him like a god. So all the girls that weren't cheerleaders had to keep their distance, no matter how much they liked him.
Wah, wah.
That included Lindy, who had liked him since the 5th grade. She wasn't unpopular, but she wasn't a cheerleader, which kept her from being full-blown popular.
Seriously, I'm like writing Mean Girls before it even existed.
She was kind of in the middle, friendly with the popular crowd, yet friendly with everyone else at the same time. In a way, she felt she could kind of relate to Taylor, which gave her a comfortable, warm feeling inside. She snapped out of her daydream to realize she was walking up Adrian's driveway. Adrian Markowitz was Lindy's best friend. She was a cheerleader, so all the popular people would be there. Her older brother Lee would be home from college that weekend, and Lindy expected all her friends would be hanging on him. Maybe they'll all be so interested in Lee that they won't notice Taylor, and I'll get some time alone with him, Lindy thought, and a smile crept onto her face.
Oh.
She rang the doorbell, and a few seconds later the door flew open. There stood Adrian's 8-year-old brother Tyler. His brown hair was tousled, and his dark brown eyes tired. It was late for an 8-year-old, and Lindy figured he'd probably been letting Adrian's friends in for a while. "Hi, Lindy," he said wearily, and stepped back to let her into the house. "Adrian! Another one of your dumb friends is here!"
I got the 8-year-old spot on.
"Lindy, hi! Hi! Adrian exclaimed when she rounded the corner and walked into the front hall. Happy birthday, Dree! Lindy said as they hugged.
Seriously, these names.
Well, come on, Adrian exclaimed and grabbed Lindy's hand, pulling her through the house. We were waiting on you to get started. Started? Lindy asked. On what? Adrian's eyes sparkled and a mischievous smile spread across her face. It's a surprise, she said, but I know you'll like it. Oh, and write your name on this. She handed Lindy a 3x5 index card and continued. Lindy followed Adrian through the house and then down the steps to the basement. It was furnished, and she and Adrian always stayed there when Lindy came over. It was a great atmosphere for parties. Lindy was greeted with, "Hi," and "Great to see ya," from all sides of the room. She looked around like she was checking out who was there, but really, she was looking for Taylor. Finally, she found him. He was sitting on a chair in the corner of the room, pretty much alone. Of course, there were people on the floor all over the room, but none were hanging on him like they normally did. Lindy was almost surprised for a moment, but then she smiled. Maybe he finally got the guts to tell them all off, she thought excitedly, and was almost proud of him. Suddenly, Taylor looked up and looked right at Lindy. Lindy quickly looked away, embarrassed that he had caught her staring. "All right, everybody," Adrian said loudly, and Lindy jerked her head up. She realized she was still standing in the middle of the room and quickly squeezed into a place on the floor across the room from Taylor. "Got your name on your cards? Fold it twice and put it in a box. Boys' names in the blue box, girls' names in the red box." Everyone put their cards in the boxes as they were passed around the room. As Lindy dropped hers in, she wondered what in the world Adrian had planned this time. She said a quick prayer that it didn't involve a dark closet and the word heaven. "All right, everybody, now it's time to pick your partners," Adrian said. "What's this for?" someone called out. "Yeah, I'm sick of the secrecy," someone else added. "Patience, my friends. You'll find out soon enough," Adrian said. "Okay, now when I have all of the couples picked, I'll read them all, and you guys will decide which couple will go first." There was a collective groan from the people in the room, but Lindy was silent. Her heart was racing. Part of her was hoping and wishing that she'd be paired with Taylor, but another part was praying she wasn't. "The first couple is..." Adrian started and pulled a name out of each box. "Drum roll, please." Someone started drumming on a table. "The first couple is... Aaron and Mandy!" A few people whistled, some cheered, but most laughed. Aaron and Mandy reddened and lowered their heads. Everyone except Aaron and Mandy knew that they had had secret crushes on each other for a long time. But both were too shy to say anything, and both thought the other hated them.
Isn't that just life? I got real in 9th grade.
Adrian kept reading names, and people kept reddening and hiding their faces, or excitedly getting up to sit next to their partner. "The next couple is..." Adrian started. Whoever had been drumming on the table still was. "Taylor and..." Lindy's heart stopped. She closed her eyes and held her breath. "Lindy!" At first, Lindy was sure she'd heard wrong. That couldn't have been her name with Taylor's. No, it had to be someone else. It wasn't her. But when everyone started cheering and whistling and calling her name and Taylor's, she knew it was true. She opened her eyes and let out her breath slowly. Adrian had already resumed calling out couples. Lindy could feel someone staring at her. She could feel eyes burning into her back, and it made her heart skip a beat. She knew who it was, and she refused to look. She knew if she did look, she'd either start crying, scream, or faint. She said another prayer that whatever Adrian was planning didn't involve kissing.
Will Adrian and Lee make Taylor and Lindy kiss? You'll have to wait to find out. Tune in next time for the second part of Hypnotized.